Yes, Rambo. How are we?
I'm all right, son. How are you?
Gone across the pond for this one. In the box, have gone across the pond.
Yeah, mate. Just fresh off the golf course, mate.
Oh, mate, listen.
I know I was going to kill you.
Listen, mate, thanks for coming on. Like I say, it's, we're struggling back here in terms of, the boredom's getting the better of people. I think everyone's locked up in their houses or apartments. And, I just thought it'd be a good idea start up this In the Box channel. Just, literally, I've obviously explained it to you because I've asked you earlier, yesterday, to send me over your star-studded best 11 that you played with. First of all, before we get into that, how's things, mate? How's things stateside?
Yeah, we're all right. We're on somewhat of a lockdown too. We're off until middle of April. I've had 10 days of isolation, so to speak. But I mean, you can still go about and do your daily business. Just come off the golf course, keep me a little bit sane with all these two kids running around. But yeah, we're all right. To be fair, everything's okay. It's just obviously trying to stay healthy and clean and away from as many people as I possibly can. Apart from that, yeah, it's all right. It was a bit gutting as well because we literally just started one game into our season and then we're on lockdown.
Oh,
so,
was it only one game? Yeah, I knew it only just started. It was only one game. Yeah.
Yeah, we played the first game against Portland Timbers 2, won 6-1. Literally came in Monday to do like a regen session.
Yeah.
Trained Tuesday, and then we got the phone call saying, the league's been suspended. So, boys are a bit frustrated, as you can imagine. Just literally done 6 weeks of pre-season, and now we're going to have to do another 6 weeks.
Oh,
so,
mate. Sounds good. Good job I'm not out there then.
Yeah, 100% is your worst nightmare.
I used to, when I was out there, I used to play the Visa card, don't it? So like, I'd miss a bit of pre-season. But listen, they must be missing me over there in Scottsdale, don't it? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the bars are shutting down, mate. Not just because of this coronavirus, because they've lost about 50% of their income from the Roon Dog not being
You know what? Speaking of that, it's Friday night here. I don't want the viewers to be fooled. It's Friday night in London. Chelsea's just done me a glass of red. Look. So.
Something's never changed.
Right, listen. That's all the niceties out of the way. Then we'll get straight down to it. The reason why I'm calling, and obviously the reason why I'm doing it. Before we get into it and start off with your goalkeeper, I just wanted to ask, it was obviously very tough for you, that goes without saying. How have you named this team? Have you gone literally for, in your opinion, you're thinking with your managers, your coaches head on, have you gone for, literally the best team you could put out there, best 11?
No, so I've gone with, the players who I thought were the best at the time, me playing. There's probably one in there that isn't, and I'll explain later.
Yeah.
But I've played with some unbelievable players, but they just at the time that I played with them maybe weren't at their best for one reason or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So I've gone for the players who I thought, these when I've played with them, I thought, Jesus, these are top class, world class, some of them world class players. Like I said, so it was tough to sit down and really think because they've left some players out and some players that I still speak to now who are incredible professionals, incredible players, but I try to the hardest thing was me midfield. That's why I went 3-5. If being a defender, it killed me, mate. I just want to have a flat back 10. But
no, it's good, mate. So you've gone with a 3-5-2. We will start off with your goalkeeper then. Where have you gone?
Yeah, Shea was just best I've played with. Yeah, I mean, the record speaks for himself. I mean, over 400 games for Newcastle. He won us points on his own, the saves he made. I mean, he was not the biggest, similar to Paddy Kenny, who was a keeper who, it was hard to not name Paddy because Paddy was kind of similar, Irish as well, but it was the two of them. But Shea just, his whole round presence, he was a leader, really was helpful for me, as was Steve Harper, another keeper who was tough to leave out. Them two kind of took it upon themselves when I was younger and coming through to make sure that I was best and ready, prepared to go into Premier League games. And Shea's performances throughout my time playing in front of him was nothing short of breathtaking, some of them.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Just on that, it's obviously good timing that you mentioned Harper there because, Steve Harper was seen as a bit unlucky to miss out to Shea. Probably cost him a lot of appearances up there. I was just wondering, like, what do you think, like, no, excuse the pun, but why was he given the edge there, Shay? Like, why? If you obviously saw it at close quarters, like, why was Shay that much better than, or was he that much better than Stephen Harper?
That was the thing. He wasn't much better than Harps, and
No.
it's a good question to be fair, and but I don't really have an answer. Shay just performed. And like the plays, and you keep your jersey till you have a bad game. Well, Shay never had a bad game.
No.
The only time Shay never played was when he was either injured or suspended, and there was a period when Shay got a really bad injury. He was at West Ham away. He basically ruptured his kidney or something like that, and he was out for 3 or 4 months, if not longer. And Harps came in, and there was no difference.
Yeah.
Like, Harps was an incredible goalie. There was nothing to choose them apart. And I think Harps would have gone on and got England caps if he hadn't stayed loyal to being at Newcastle. I think he always harboured that hope that at one moment that he would get his opportunity, that maybe Shay would maybe move on because of obviously the situation in Newcastle not really challenging for honours, that he might move on. And when he did and go to Man City, Harps came in. But then Harps suffered because he had the emergence of Tim Krul as well.
Yeah, cool.
But I mean, Harps, it's funny, sorry, because like when I made my debut against Olympiacos in the UEFA Cup, and it was like with 4 or 7-1 up or something on aggregate, 25 minutes into the second half, and Graham Souness was the manager, and turned around to Harps and said, "Go on, get yourself on, have like the last half an hour." And Harps was just like, "Nah, don't be stupid. Stick one of the kids on."
Yeah.
I went on, made my debut, and it was one of the reasons Harps is now stuck in 199 appearances for Newcastle. And he's always like wound me up about it, saying he would love to have got to 200. Obviously, it wasn't the one appearance it cost him, but he was there for like 16 years or something like that. But I'd always have a little bit of a banter with him that he's stuck in 199 appearances because he gave me my debut.
Oh, well, listen, at least he got things started for you anyway.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right, it is going to be a back three.
Yeah.
Where we started?
I went with Taylor. Yeah, I went with Stephen Taylor because literally I've known Taylor since I moved down to Newcastle when I was 11-year-old. We went to the same middle school.
Yeah.
Came through the youth teams all together, and whenever we played together, we kind of just had that chemistry. And I mean, Tails is Marmite. You either love him or hate him.
Okay.
He has that kind of aura about him, but he was a good centre half.
Yeah.
He put his body on the line. Technically, like myself, wasn't gifted, but he just had that never say die attitude that would literally. He just put himself in front of balls and block shots and things like that. And I love him to death as a mate as well. So I had to stick him in. He was the one mate that I probably stuck in. Then I played Jonathan Woodgate, played a reserve game when he was coming back from a long-term injury. And I only played 20 minutes with him. He played the first 20 minutes, and it was probably the most educated 20 minutes I've ever came across.
Really,
playing alongside another centre-half. It's similar to what sort of like Harps, in a way that Woody should have played a hell of a lot more games than he did. And when he did play, it was a reason why he ended up at Real Madrid. He was best centre-half I ever played with.
Yeah, I was going to ask on that, Rambo. Yeah, so like you say, you didn't play with him much, but obviously he made an impression on you. Like, what made him so good? Because listen, obviously, I think personally, from watching him, when I was younger, watching him grow up, I think he was probably one of the best centre halves around. You don't go to, like you said, you don't go to Real Madrid if you're not top notch. But in that sort of 20 minutes or them training sessions you have, what stuck out? Like, what made him so good?
He was just so calm on the ball. He never got beat 1v1. Like, I seen Craig Bellamy try to like roast him, and Bellas was as quick as I've ever come across in terms of play. And Woody would just push him aside. He just had this gliding presence across the field that never, even when he was out of position, he somehow managed to get there. And I believe we would have, like, Newcastle suffered when they left. We never really replaced him.
Yeah.
He was a massive presence in the dressing room, one of the funniest footballers I've ever come across. I mean, he was a practical joker, but he never, like, we were in the reserves and coming through, and he used to spend most of his time sitting in with us, taking the mick, planning pranks, things like that. Yeah. But then when he goes out on the field, it was like Jekyll and Hyde. He was just such an presence about him that for me as a young kid coming through, it was great to watch him. I mean, he suffered from injuries as well at Newcastle, but when he played, he was just incredible. And getting his move to Real Madrid was testament to how good he really was.
No, exactly. And just quickly on that, just quickly, did you see him being a manager? Obviously, he's manager in Middlesbrough now.
No, I did not. Honestly, never seen Woody. Never thought that Woody would be the manager type. I thought he'd be a coach because football. He just loves football, as we all do. I thought he'd be, an incredible coach because of some of the managers he's played with and players that he's played with as well. He's bound to have built up this football and knowledge. It's almost second to none. But no, I didn't see him as a manager. But one of my good and close friends works with the under-18s at Middlesbrough and said his attention to detail. His sessions are incredible. Okay. He has such a presence about him as a manager, similar to as he was as a player. And I think you'll be. I mean, he's got Robbie Keane in there, who's a legend in his own right. So I hope he does well at Borough. Hope they get away from the bottom half of the Championship and kick on.
Yeah, and hopefully that means another derby up there for you boys.
100%.
Right, who completes your back three?
The guy who I probably enjoy playing with the most was Damien Delaney. Big Damo. The year we got promoted.
What a good-looking geezer, by the way, as well.
Listen, I'm a married man, but you know what I mean. It was great growing up next. We had a connection because we were at QPR together. So we had a year at QPR, and it was my first time away from the northeast. I moved down to the Big Smoke, and I was homesick and proper homesick. And Damo, he lived in Chiswick, so he took me under his wing, which was a brilliant wing to be under.
Of course,
showed me the bright lights and sights in London. But then when we moved to Palace, we both went to Palace almost like not wanted. I'd just come off the back of leaving QPR. I'd had 6 months at Birmingham, didn't get offered a contract there. Damo was like at Ipswich, got released at Ipswich. Nobody wanted us, but Dougie kind of seen something in the pair of us and thought just too good on his pros. Yeah. And we just gelled on the pitch. We just kind of had this chemistry of knowing where each other was. He was obviously left-footed, I was right-footed. We complemented each other in that respect. And, it came to the guy who was in front of us, we'll go on to later, kind of just got this spine at Palace that almost got us promoted. And Damo then, had the fairy tales of all careers towards the end. Like once he hit 30, I think is when he really flourished, got into the Prem, and stayed the mainstay of Palace's back line for 5-6 years and consolidated them in the Premier League. And you ain't a bad player if you can do that. It's 32 going on to 37. So
I think like you said there, I think for anyone, doesn't matter what position, especially outfield, to play in the Premier League till you're sort of 36, 37 week in, week out, says a lot about him. So that's a good solid start to your team. Great back three. Probably the only surprise is probably that I got through all the defenders without having a sip of my red wine, to be fair. So I'm probably going to have one in a minute. And don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. Right.
To be fair, mate, it's 12:15 here. I'm just about to crack a moment as well when I get off the hoop.
Perfect. Right. Here we go then. Midfield time. I'll leave it down to you, the way you're going to go through them. Obviously, start with your holding midfielder. I think you didn't mention his name, but you mentioned him there.
So, he wasn't the best I've played with in terms of...
I was going to say, because in order to fit this man in, you have left out the likes of, and I was having a little think about it earlier. Scotty Parker, Nicky Butt, to name but a few.
Yeah, and that was a tough one because Scotty, when he came to Newcastle, was a proper captain. Yeah, he led by example. It really was a tough one to pick to leave out in terms of that role. The geezer to the right of the fellow I'm just about to mention, I've got him in for a reason, and Scotty was the one that kind of missed out on that. But I left Nicky Butt out, Scotty, Emery, Lee Bowyer. A few players that I played with, at Newcastle, in particular at Newcastle, Sean Derry at QPR. an incredible holding midfield player. But this geezer, Mile Jednak, was just head and shoulders above them all for me. Me, Damo, and him had that little triangle base the year we got promoted, and Mile was just an absolute man mountain. I mean, I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him. And he was just, he kind of like, it was weird because same as, like I said about Shea, Mile could win you a game without actually doing anything. He could just scare the life out of the opposition's attacks, nullify everything, and just lay the ball off to Wilf, lay it off to Yala and start the attacks and let them go and win games. But for them to win games, you needed Mile, and Mile was just the best. I mean, I played under Alan Shearer, who was one of the best captains, but for me, as a captain, Mile was the best to get the best out of everybody else, not just of himself. Like I said, me and Damo were unwanted. You know, nobody wanted us. Mile made us look good. He was just a presence in front of us where, you know, if we won a header and Mile was there to knock it down. You know, he was just, and technically, I mean, his range of passing was as good as them, as good as I've come across. And again, a reason why him into his 30s went on and had an unbelievable Premier League career. You know, I remember the goals against Liverpool, the free kicks. He would come up with big goals at big moments in time. So he wasn't just one of the best holding midfield players I come across. He was one of the best midfield players because he would chip in with goals at crucial times. And like I said before, he was just the kind of guy who would get the best out of everybody else in that dressing room. And he would literally rule it. And whatever he said went. Like I said, you wouldn't want to get on the wrong end of him. So he's my number 6.
Perfect. Right. Go on, I'll let you continue then. You can, I've got them all down, so you tell me where we're going next.
2 geezers either side of them. One of them had a big influence on me on his career, and he was a hell of a player as well, Kieran Dyer.
Okay.
I mean, again, similar to Tails, he's Marmite, but Kieran was just, when I was coming through at Newcastle, again, somebody who suffered through injuries, but was always there for me. I mean, he would literally test you, mentally and physically. He would test you. Like Bellas, I've seen them bully kids into making like grown men cry. But I somehow struck up a relationship with him, and he was really good for me coming through. But then on the field, he was just a good player. He was just a really, really good player. Something different. Somebody who could carry the ball. They didn't have a great passing range, but in terms of carrying the ball, he could get you up the fields with his pace. He chipped in with some really important goals, especially when Alan was coming to the tail end of his career. Kieran kind of played a supporting role behind him, and he was just one of those players who would somehow get through a game without looking like he's done anything. But he was somebody who would just come up with a bigger moment, on the big stage. And he was versatile as well. You know, he played right back, played centre midfield, played up top, played on the wing, played left wing, right wing, and he was good in every position. He didn't really have a weak spot in terms of when you stuck him elsewhere. So he was one of the players who had a big imprint on me. And the other one was Paddy McCourt. Paddy's probably one of the singly most gifted footballers I've ever seen. I mean, some of the goals.
That's crazy, right? Because obviously, myself, I've heard plenty. I don't know Paddy personally, but I've heard plenty of stories about him through other mutual friends and stuff. And literally, everyone says like how good he was and stuff. So this will be an interesting one for the fans and the viewers listening. That, you know, that is a big compliment. The fact that he, you know, listen, I'm not doubting that he was a fantastic player, but that's an amazing compliment that he's managed to find himself into this team, isn't it? Really, like, so obviously continue what you were going to say, but I just thought I'd mention that because, you know, in the football world, it's well renowned how good he was. But, you know, obviously for the viewers at home who are thinking, well, some guys got in there who they might not have even necessarily heard of, you know. So how good was it?
He was unbelievable. I mean, I had him we were at Barnsley together, and he was in and out the team. He wasn't. It was a tough environment for him to really showcase his talents. But he scored a goal against Nottingham Forest where he literally dribbled past the whole team and scored. And he could do that. Paddy was like that. We played Brighton away, and he won the game single-handedly. Just single performances showed how good this geezer was. And you know, he loved a glass of red as well. We lived around the corner from him.
I've heard.
He would tell us like stories of literally his nights at Celtic. I mean, Celtic's probably where he's best known.
Yeah.
And some of the goals, if guys just want to watch some player play, this is the one to watch. He was incredible. Some of the stuff he would do in training, you could literally give him the ball and he'd go and score a goal. And he wasn't the most dedicated of professionals, and that's why I think, you know, he's somebody similar to yourself, Roondog. You know, he loved the glass of red.
What about if we worked on it? Obviously, maybe we have half a game each, me and him.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I'll give you the last 10, mate, when he's tired.
You know what? To be fair, he can as long as I can do the first half, so I can get in the bath for the second half.
Yeah, but he literally was. Honestly, mate, he was probably the most gifted footballer I've ever come across, and it's an absolute crying shame that he wasn't like a world superstar, because his talent.
That good, yeah.
Yeah,
that good.
I personally believe it. You know, watching him. And then,
listen. To be honest, other people I've spoke to, like obviously, you know, my good pal Simon Ferry, who grew up with him at Celtic, had said exactly the same. Like, you know, that he's, he doesn't understand why he didn't make it to the very top. You know what I mean?
I don't, mate. He should have played in the Premier League. He should have played at the highest echelons of football. You know, I don't know. Again, I don't know why he didn't. There's obviously a reason why.
Yeah.
But for me, his talent deserved to be at the world stage, and he, for me, was, like I said, to get in the team and not put the likes of Scott. To be fair, Scotty would have been in if it wasn't for Paddy.
Yeah. Away games, you could probably put Scotty in there. Then the home games play Paddy.
Correct. You know, but I mean, Paddy was he was just a brilliant footballer.
Yeah. That's great stuff.
But then I've got to go on.
What's that?
Go on now.
Right, that's your midfield three sorted. Wide players.
Wide. I had to get this fella in. I had to get him in somewhere. Alberto Solano.
How good?
Probably, you know, I talked about Paddy being the most gifted footballer. This geezer was the best footballer I've ever played with. He was absolute joke.
Really?
It was just a disgrace. He only played with one leg. He was like Juan Sebastian Veron. He only had a right foot, mate.
Really?
And he didn't need his leg.
He had the outside of the peg, though, right?
Geez, I played. It was against Everton at home. We won, and he scored both the goals. One of the goals was the outside of his right foot. And I still, to this day, don't know how the trajectory got it to there, because he literally started at the corner flag and brought it back in. He was an absolute disgrace. He had no pace about him, but you couldn't get anywhere near him. You know, you talk about geezers being like half a yard quicker upstairs, but he was 2-3 passes ahead. Yeah. And he was literally some of the balls that he would deliver in for Big Al and Duncan Ferguson at the time, and balls that he would slide Craig Bellamy through, or, you know, he was just a naturally gifted footballer that was. Yeah. I mean, he played with Maradona at Boca Juniors.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he's got a great pic of him and Maradona, and it's you know where he gets it from. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you understand his footballing brain, where it's come from, when he talks about his times with Maradona and that. And he was, again, there was a time when he was at Newcastle where he should have left. You know, Man United were after him, Real Madrid were after him, but he stayed loyal to the Geordies, which was great for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, because like what he must have obviously been well liked up there, you know, like on and off the pitch, because you say it's probably pretty rare. I know obviously he had a Sprea and stuff. I think, what was he, Peruvian, wasn't he? Bobby?
Peruvian, yeah. He's a Peru's national. I think he works for the national team now. I think he's the assistant manager at the national.
Cool. What was he like off the pitch then? He must have obviously, I mean, you know, must have seen something he liked up there in Geordie then.
Mate, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. I think he's even married to Geordie Lass now, if I'm honest with you. I think that's the last of it. But he was, he loved a glass of red wine as well. It seems to be a running theme. We're playing that.
You'll be able to have a good Christmas do in this.
100% with this group, mate. But nah, he was. He used to have barbecues. He had this massive house in the middle of Jesmond, and he used to have his barbecues. He'd get his mates around and cook like South American food, and he loved the beer. But he was like, whilst he loved to party and have fun off the field, but again, similar to Woody, when he crossed the white line,
wouldn't matter.
He was just when it mattered, exactly. He just became a different beast. And he, again, me, a young guy coming through, I was right back coming through, and he was right wing, and he was just like, just give me the ball. Give me the ball and run around me. And that was literally all I did for like 2 years. We just gave him the ball, and he would literally do everything for me.
Perfect. That sounds like a good guy as well off the pitch. Good stuff. Right. Other side, other flank. Who's your last midfield player? Your last player?
Again, there's one player that I had to get in. Was Wilfried Zaha.
Yeah.
Obviously the year again we got promoted. Talk about Mealy just used to give Wilf the ball, and we'd just sit back and watch him go and do his stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he would just conjure something out of nothing. You could try and double team him, he'd find a way out. I mean, at the time that I played with him, it was like 2012, 13. It was still raw talent.
Yeah.
But it was raw talent that literally was incredible to watch. Watch him develop now and see him become, almost a superstar. I think he is a player that I believe will make the move in the summer to one of the big boys. And
I was just gonna to interrupt you there, Ram. I was gonna ask you, because that's my question I got down for Wilf. Obviously, it didn't work out for him at United. That listen, that might have been for various reasons. Might have been because it was too early for him to go and stuff. And listen, a lot. The big debate down here is probably, not necessarily because of the Man United thing, but is he the type of player that can go and play in a top six side? Because I think you see him at Palace. He's Palace's main man. I think he gets most of their goals. Makes things happen for them. Probably kept him up on his own, to be honest, over the last maybe 2 or 3 seasons. But in terms of your opinion, having played with him, I know it was a while ago, and it was, like you said, it was when he was still a little bit raw and stuff. But it sounded like you've already probably going to start answering the question there. But yeah, do you think he is capable of playing at like a top club?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah.
I think the reason it didn't work out at Man United was because Fergie weren't there. He literally, Ferguson signed him, and I think he was Ferguson's last signing, but then left in the summer and David Moyes took over. And I think Wilf needed...
People probably actually forget that, don't they, really, actually thinking about it?
Yeah, well...
And you think as well, like, there's not many times, don't get me wrong, Ferguson got it wrong with some foreign boys coming over here, like South American and stuff like that, but, Ferguson didn't often get it wrong with young English players, did it?
No, he didn't. And I think Wilf needed somebody like him.
Yeah.
Obviously it was a lot going on when he did eventually go up there with a new manager going in, new coaching staff, somebody with new ideas. Whereas if he'd been there with Fergie, I think the players that were around him at the time would have been able to help Wilf settle more. Yeah. And I honestly believe Wilf would have been a superstar. And I think he would have been playing for England and not Ivory Coast if Ferguson had still been there. I think that change of management killed him. Yeah. He didn't feel wanted, didn't feel loved that he needed, and he was so young. You got to remember, Wilf, I think, was 19 or 20 when he went to Man United, and I think it was the right time for him to go to a big club like that. But when the manager's got his own, problems and issues going on in terms of, trying to find his way into a new club, the last thing he's going to want to think about is Wilfried Zaha, and I think that suffered for him. But fast forward in 6-7 years now, and I think Wilf is ready to make that step. I think he has been for the last few years. I think this summer, whilst it pains me to say it, I think Palace will lose him. I think for himself, he's got to try and go in. This is optimum time. I think he's 27 now. So 28, he's come to the prime of his career, and if he's not going to do it, then I can't see him leaving Palace. And I think it'd be a crying shame that somebody of his ability isn't. Now, I love Palace to be able to be up there and challenging, but for Wilf himself, I think he needs to make that next step. Yeah, no, of course, I think, like I said, I think he's probably close to going last summer, wasn't he? So it'd be a big surprise. It'd be interesting to see where he goes, because I don't know what kind of system will suit him. Yeah, you're looking at the clubs nowadays, and they have their wide players, and I don't know where he would go. Everybody obviously has his close links and strong ties to Arsenal. I could see him fitting in there. But there's a lot of talk of obviously Chelsea. Can't see him fitting in at Chelsea. No. City would be interesting, but then I don't know if they've got the room for him. No. So seeing where he goes, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Wilf maybe venturing, over the pond and to Europe, to one of the big boys over there. Yeah, no, maybe, especially maybe with what's going on in the world at the moment with the coronavirus and stuff, that might affect it in terms of the timing and stuff, might it? Depending on what's going to go on with the fixtures and stuff. So no. Cool. Right. No, it'll be interesting. Right, front two time now.
leave your obvious one till last, I think, because I think he was the only one that I knew was definitely going to be in there. So we'll save the big man till last. Who's gonna partner him?
With the team I've got, I need two kind of target men, and I've gone for Glenn Murray as the first one. Yeah. I mean, Glenn's just one of my closest mates in football. But again, similar to Mile, similar to Damo, probably somebody who's talent-wise isn't up there with the best, but as a goal scorer, I mean, again, that season, it was just everything he hit went in. And it was just a crying shame that the season he had, he got injured in the semi-final against Brighton in the first leg and didn't get to make his appearance at Wembley, because if anybody deserved to be on that pitch against Watford that day, it was Glenn. I mean, 30-odd goals in the Championship season was, remarkable in the Palace team that we had. But he had a lot more to him than that. That front three of him, Yala and Will, I don't think Wilf and Yala would have benefited if they hadn't had the type of player that Glenn was. You stick the ball in the box for hit, or stick the ball up to him. He brought them into play. Yeah. So he was just a really, really good target man. But he worked his socks off as well. I mean, we had a workman-like team. And, you talk about defending from the front, and he epitomised that. I don't think there's a centre-half that's come up against them that has said that they had an easy day. Even now at 37, going on nearly 38, the old man's still doing it in the Prem, even though he's a bit part player at Brighton. He's still producing the goods, and again, that's testament to how he was as a player and how he is as a professional. So
I was going to ask on that. Is that a coincidence that I'm sure it's not. Like, I'm guessing he was obviously very professional. Obviously, he's reaping with the rewards now, still playing at that age.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I speak to him regularly, like I do yourself, and he's always leaving somewhere to keep his body in shape. The injury really affected him. He never had any pace in the first while, but he was somebody like Al that kind of redefined himself as a forward, became even more of a target man. But he had a lot more to him, Glenn, and I think it is how he's able to have longevity in football is because of the way he's looked after himself off the field. And it's testament, like I said, to how he has done that as to why he's become, still a Premier League player at 37-year age.
Yeah, no, of course. And as well, I think when I was looking in, obviously, I've looked at his career before, and I think he done it the hard way as well, didn't he? Come through, I think there's a bit of non-league action there, and probably non-league, probably different to everyone else in your team here. He sort of done it the hard way, didn't he? I should imagine others were, raised about as youngsters and have come through at top clubs probably.
Yeah, and Muzza, I mean, he had a tough paper round. He was out here in America, which I don't know if a lot of people know. He was over here I think when he left university at 17, 18-year-old, he had a year or two out here. Went back, managed to get in at Carlisle or Rochdale, or like a lower league club, and built his way up through Brighton. First period, then Palace, and then going back Bournemouth and Brighton. So he's done it. He has done it the hard way. Again, similar to probably Damo. The twilight or the second half of his career is where he's really flourished. And I think, to be fair, to be honest, mate, I think that upbringing's helped him have the career he's had in the Premier League at the second half of his career, because, the target man's kind of going out of the game. Or was going out of the game, but when you need a ball put in the box, he's somebody that just thrives on that. And, again, we at Palace found a way to be able to get the best out of that front three that complemented each other, and I think Muzza's upbringing, helped the likes of Wilf and Yala, but also helped himself.
Yeah, of course. Right, it's time then. So I'm sure everyone probably knows who it's going to be. Who is partnering him upstairs, up front?
Yeah, it's got to be the big man in it. Big Alan Shearer. Big Al. You'd be the captain of my team as well. I'd love to have a little love to see a bit of a wrestle between Mile and him for the captain's armband.
Exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, I'm sure there's a good battle between them two. But so Big Al then, seriously.
I played with Al.
Obviously, I spoke to you personally. I spoke to you personally about it and stuff. Like, obviously for the people listening and stuff, I'm sure you've probably done interviews in the past, but for people who haven't heard it, like, how good really was it?
For me, he's the best number 9, best centre forward. It's still even now that I put him in the original Ronaldo in the same bracket because they were just centre forwards that just wanted to score goals, could score all kind of goals. Al was phenomenal. I mean, I played with him his last 2-3 years of his career, and he was still scoring 20, 30 goals a season. A 34, 35-year-old, and he reinvented himself after the injuries that he had earlier in his career, but he was still the best. You put that ball into him, he never lost it. I mean, he wasn't even 6 foot, and he would out-jump the tallest of centre-halves. He was just an absolute monster. And the best centre-forward, like I said, even at the very end of his career, was still the best that I've played with. I mean, the amount of times that, I'd stick a ball that maybe a foot away from him, he would manage to get there. Something totally the opposite from you, mate. You miss you by a yard and it's gone. It's gone out for a floor. It's gone out. You know what I mean? Hit your feet, but you could miss Al and he would still somehow manage to find it. You put the ball in the box and he would get on the end of it. And training against him was, like I talked about, Woody being one of the best educations. He was probably the best because trained how he played. He wouldn't let you have a day off. If you didn't go in for a tackle with him, he would literally slaughter you. He wanted you to go through the back of him. He wanted you to try and two-foot him. He wanted you to throw elbows if you were going up for a goal kick, if you were doing an in-house 11v11. He wanted to train the way that you played, and he would make sure that he let you know if you were slacking or if you didn't do that. And then to go off with that, with off the field, again, I don't know if I had the Geordie connection, but he took me under his wing. Big golfer, big golf fan. And
I was going to ask. I remember you saying about literally Harry run the club. How was it literally to the point where everything went through him?
Everything went through him. There wasn't a decision that didn't go through him. I bet he made half the signings. You know what I mean? Because everything seemed to compliment him. But I mean, he was before Bobby Robson came in, he was literally going out the door. He obviously had a lot of issues with Ruth Hulett previously. Yeah. And Bobby came in and just let him play. And I think Bobby obviously, and it's well known, probably saved Al's Newcastle career. Yeah. It would have been interesting to see how Al would have probably left and gone on to a bigger club and won more trophies, but he was just a Geordie born and bred, and I think the fact that he's got the record goal scoring goals in the club means probably more to him than a medal, which is strange to say.
Yeah, I think even when you watch his interviews and stuff, he says he doesn't have no regrets, doesn't he? So
and I think he was just he won the Premier League at Blackburn. He got all these England caps. It probably hurts him that he never won anything as a Newcastle fan, as all Newcastle fans for the last 60 years. But Al just wanted to pull that black and white shirt on with a number 9 on the back. That's all he wanted to do. And every time he put it on, he wanted to score. He wanted to win games. He wanted to win trophies by winning games, by scoring goals. It just, it's a crying shame that he didn't do that, because if anybody in a black and white jersey deserved to win something, it was him.
It was him, yeah. And so you mentioned golf and Shearer. Please tell the story about when he invited you up to a golf competition. Loch Lomond?
We went to Loch Lomond. Well, we went up to Scotland, so we.
He pulled you in training, didn't he? He pulled you in training.
Pulled me in training. Obviously, I was a golfer and have been for a long time. Even when I was a kid growing up, I was a golfer, and he knew that. Steve Harper was a big golfer. Knew that I was a golfer. Didn't really know how good I was. But I was obviously could hold myself. So after training, he just said we had the day off. The next day was a Wednesday, I think it was, something like that. He said 7 o'clock, be at my house. I was like, right, why? I'm going for a game of golf. So, fucking hell, Al, 7 o'clock's a bit early. But no, I'll explain why. So literally got to his house. Took me half an hour to get up his drive. But got into his house and literally had this unbelievable, massive back garden. Just sitting there, he's missing bacon sandwich, cup of tea, 7:30, just this massive noise was like going on. Helicopter lands in his back garden. Mike Malone's in the front seat. And there was 8 of us up to Loch Lomond, going the way up to Loch Lomond. So he literally jumped in the chopper. I mean, I'm 19-year-old. You know, I'm getting in a chopper with Alan Shearer. I'm getting in it with Michael Owen, Steve Harper, Shea Given, to name but a few of them. And yeah, we literally went up, played Loch Lomond in the morning, took the money, and then they literally jumped in the chopper, got a bit of lunch, stopped off for a bit of lunch, jumped in the chopper again, went to the next course, and had 36 holes. Then literally got in the chopper and flew back down to Newcastle. So I was like, you know, when you're in the total wrong world. I just couldn't be further from my comfort zone, but absolutely loving every minute of being in this chopper with these geezers who are literally world superstars. But yeah, I took the money both rounds.
And you what, sorry?
And I nicked all the money.
And you nicked all
to
the
be
money,
fair,
yeah.
I nicked all the money, but we played. If you won, then you had to pay for like the food. So literally, I came back out of pocket because they were literally. It was like living eating from a king's feast. There was lobsters getting thrown out and all sorts. But to be fair, like that was just like Al. He was always made sure that everybody was all right. You know, if we would go when we went to Dubai a couple of times. And again, I was a young kid, not earning enough, like a lot of dough, but he would make sure that, you know, I went for nothing. Always helped me out, things like that. And then still speak to him every now and then. You know, I hadn't seen him in a while, but you know, he'd be one that if there was a game of golf going and you rang him up, he'd go and have a game of golf with you.
Yeah, it's different class, mate. Honestly, that story's absolutely class. Imagine you sitting in his gaff having a bacon roll and you're probably worried about making your tea time, and the next thing.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying. I said you wouldn't say where we were playing, and then all of a sudden you just see Michael's chopper just landing, or seeing Michael's chopper landing in the back garden.
Listen, mate, it's amazing. Right, listen, that concludes your team. He's captain. The team, obviously, I'll get it all up in writing and stuff, and I'll post it on Instagram and Twitter for all the followers to see. Absolutely fantastic team, and like I say, thanks for going through that with you. Before I let you go, Rambo, I'm just going to ask a few questions before I let you leave. Obviously, the main reason I've done this podcast is something I wanted to do for a little while anyway, but the timing's ended up perfect now. Everyone's sitting indoors bored, you know, mainly to, you know, stop people getting so bored indoors and give them something to watch, but also just for the, you know, any young aspiring footballers out there, whether they're at academies, pro clubs, or they're not quite where they need to be at the moment. Just you know, for them to listen to a few stories and, you know, get some advice on things and stuff, and just basically just some material for them to get them through, you know, this time while there's no sport on. And first question, we spoke about a lot of players you played with there. What about the players you played against? Who would you say? So if I was to say, maybe name a centre forward who you come up directly up against, centre forward wise, and then obviously maybe just name someone who just stuck out, you know, whether it be a midfield player or whoever, really. After that,
fair. Probably one of the toughest. I mean, I made my Premier League debut against Man United at the Mark Giggs.
Okay.
And that was just like, he was just running rings around me. I mean, I managed to hold my own, but he was just an incredible winger.
Yeah.
But the two that probably centre forwards wise was Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
He was just, again, similar to Al. He was just a monster in terms of all round centre forward player. Could hold it up. I mean, he's not the tallest, but he could hold it up. He could run in behind, scores left foot, right foot, headers, volleys, overhead kicks. For me, he's one of the best British players that's graced the Premier League. And the other one was Thierry Henry. Yeah. We beat Arsenal 1-0, but he was out playing right back, and he was just gravitating to the left as he does. And I was just like, you know, when you're just thinking, nah, give me a rest.
Listen, to be fair, I don't think that's anything personal. He used to do that quite a lot. That, do you know what I mean?
He used to do that, but you know, when you're just thinking, nah, geez, you're a centre forward, mate. Just stay in the middle, mate. Just terrorise one of them. But he was. I played a couple of times against Arsenal, and he was. You know, when you look at somebody and you think, wow, that's Thierry Henry. Do you know what I mean? It's like you shouldn't be on the same field as these kind of players, but he was unbelievable. But one of the best I've ever come across was Paul Scholes. like, you know, when you're on the same pitch as someone, you just think, wow, like he's on it. You talk about next level, and he is on the next level. It was incredible. I mean, again, I could go on and on, like Steven Gerrard, Xavi Alonso, players like that. But I mean, like the two centre forwards and then Paul Scholes, probably the three. I mean, when I was growing up and watching football in the stands, they were three players that, well, not so much Rooney obviously played, but like against them, but Thierry Henry in the 90s, Paul Scholes in the 90s were just players who I admired and who I loved playing with and and then playing against them was just, you know, it was great for me.
Yeah, no, of course. And so you actually put a bench together, but we haven't got time to go through all of them. The one I do want to pick out of your, we spoke about most of them probably on that substitute bench anyway. So we'll speak about two of them. First one, Tarabat. How good?
Oh mate, what a player! Again, similar to Paddy McCourt, Adele was a joke. The year that QPR got promoted, I mean, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a goal he scores against Swansea where he nutmegs Joe Allen, and it's a disgrace. And he literally nutmegs him and then sticks it in the top corner from about 25, 30 yards. I mean, Adele, again, up there with Paddy, was probably one of the most naturally gifted footballers I've ever come across. But he had a really bad attitude.
Yeah. See, that's the reason, Rambo. That's the reason why I wanted to ask about him, to be honest, because, you know, obviously myself now, I'm doing a bit of work at Welling United with the, you know, bringing the youngsters through there, the scholars we have there and stuff, and, you know, sort of a bit of mentoring and stuff like that. And for me, it's like, you know, listen, you can talk to your blue in the face to some of these young players about, you know, the difference in, especially nowadays, even more so, that, you know, to have how big, you know, how key it is to have the right attitude. You know, you're saying someone like a Tarabat or a Paddy McCourt probably had, you know, they've made it into your, you know, your conversations here and your teams here because of their ability. But in terms of, you know, it'd be frightening to think, wouldn't it? What, you know, if they'd have had like the attitude of a Scotty Parker, a Nicky Butt, or an Alan Shearer, like, you know, you've got to have the whole package, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, Adele did have that. He just didn't want to work. He didn't want to do the hard yards. He didn't want to do the graft off the field that his ability would make his ability even better. You know, he had a period, and it showed when, you know, QPR got promoted to the Premier League. He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why Harry Redknapp got rid of him at Tottenham. Couldn't do it. You know, he had a lovely spell at AC Milan where he'd done really well. But then he drifted out of there. And, you know, it's only now when he's probably hit 30, he's starting to come through at Benfica. And we're kind of seeing the on-field performances are getting better. And it's probably because he's getting better on the field off the field as well.
Yeah.
So it's a big crying shame that he didn't, again, get to the AC Milans and stay there but there was a simple reason that he was just a poor professional off the field. And not saying that he was a poor geezer, because he was a really nice fella. He just didn't want to do the work.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's the reason why I wanted to ask, just because, you know, like I say, any of our younger viewers watching this, just to know that, you know, I always bang on about how important it is to have both sides of it. Like I say, do as I say, not as I did.
But the thing about it is, like, because the thing that was annoying me was because I was never the most technically gifted, or you know, one of the better players, or even to some of my even good player. But I worked grafting me nuts off every single day, nuts off, like on the field, off the field, to try and get to with the career that I had. Yeah. And when you see somebody as technically gifted as him kind of throwing away that career, it makes you even more frustrated. Yeah. You think, Jesus, if I had half of his ability with my attitude, then I'd have been a top class. But
is what it is. But no, listen, I've got to say though, Rambo, you know, like you mentioned it, you're a modest guy. You're putting yourself down a bit there. At the end of the day, you're saying that you shouldn't have been on the pitch, same pitch as some of these players and stuff like that. At the end of the day, mate, you was, and you know, it's credit to you. Listen, certainly one of the best pros I ever played with, especially in terms of the way you applied yourself. It's a shame I didn't bump into you a little bit earlier on in my career. But listen, before we get on, so another question for you. We spoke about plans for the future? Obviously, we know like little plug for Phoenix Rising. You're over there now. You're a first team coach. Obviously, every time I speak to you, you say how much you're enjoying it and stuff. That's great. Last time I spoke to you, when I was out there when I spoke to you, you mentioned that coaching was more. You was more inclined to be a coach than a manager. Obviously, that's what you're doing at the minute. You're a coach, and you're really enjoying it and stuff. Is that still the case? Coaching over management?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it. I mean, you know what it's like out here in Phoenix. It's a work in progress. Every year is another building block getting put on to hopefully becoming an MLS club. And I mean, I'm enjoying it. We've got a lot going on. I'm hopefully going to get involved with the youth. We've just been literally given like the academy status, which is huge for us and huge for Arizona. So I'm hoping to get involved in that as well and kind of being a bridge between the two, because I think there's something here that can really take off. Again, you know what the area is like and the atmosphere that the games create on a Saturday night, especially dollar beer night. And I do see myself being part of that, and I'd love to continue being a part of it. But you never know in football. Management hasn't really been at the forefront of my mind. I don't really want to have to deal with the stresses and strains of being a manager. However, it might be thrust upon me at some point in my career, and
of course,
what I'm doing now is going to prepare me for that. So we'll wait and see. It's not something that I want to do, but I'm enjoying coaching and being on the grass and being amongst the boys and things like that is where I see myself in the foreseeable future anyway.
Perfect, mate. Right, another question. How's the golf?
Oh, mate, I was shocking today. I ain't played. I played. No, I had. To be fair, you can't put in all these. They've got with all this Corona stuff going on. Yeah, you couldn't put in the holes. It's like some of them with temporary greens. No, not temporary greens. Sorry, temporary tee box and things like that. But I mean, I'm still hitting it a mile. Still hitting it on the pin. It's just it's not coming as regularly as I like to. But it's lovely. It's starting to get a bit hot out here. I mean, I'm sitting in the shade with my jacket on, but I'll go a couple of feet down there, and I'm going to have to be putting the old sunblock on to get the sun up my napper, but it's good. It's good. Hopefully get out more in the coming weeks.
That's it, mate. That's it. Right, final question, bit of fun. Obviously, big Geordie, played for Newcastle, but I know you're proud to be English. Obviously, it's uncertain times at the moment, what's going on with football. I know the Euro's been cancelled, but would you rather England winning the Euros or Newcastle winning the Premiership?
Newcastle win the Premier League, mate.
No. Straight in, yeah?
No, there's not. I mean, I'm as patriotic as an geezer, but nah, mate. Newcastle win it, mate. I think it was 67 was the last time we won a trophy. No, 67 or 69 was the last time we won a trophy. Do you know what I mean? So I know the last time England won the World Cup was 66, obviously, but nah, I mean, for me, for like a Geordie, just want to see them lift a trophy, mate. So it's got to be that.
Oh, perfect, mate. Listen, Rambo, top man. Lovely speaking to you, mate, and thanks for coming onto this show. Hopefully, we get this one out there. People who would have enjoyed it, and if you can obviously recommend it to some other people, I'm sure I can try and get a few of the boys on who we played with out there. And listen, like I say, I'm sure any young listeners listening today, and I'm sure all the Newcastle and Crystal Palace fans would have enjoyed it. But for me, the main thing is just to do this so people, when they're bored at home, they can listen in and listen to class stories and but exactly like what you just come out with, mate. So I really, really do appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us on, Roon Dog.